we would look into the concepts of relationships. Now, the most useful measures for assessing positive relationships and interpersonal behavior are grounded in sound theoretical models. These include attachment theory, interpersonal theory, and a number of systemic models of family functioning. We will begin to look into attachment theory. Within attachment theory, it is assumed that children's early experiences with their primary caregivers lead them to become either securely or insecurely attached. Where caregivers are attuned to infants' needs and meet them reliably, infants develop an internal working model of their caregiver as a secure base from which to explore the world and show uh, considerable confidence in doing so. Where caregivers fail to meet their infants' needs in a reliable way, infants develop internal working models of their caregivers as unreliable and view themselves as insecure. This may find expression as ambivalent, which is clingy, or avoidant attachment, or as disorganized attachment, which involves alternating between anxious and avoidant attachment patterns. A variety of ways of assessing attachment style in infants have been developed by Solomon and George in 1999. The gold standard for assessing the attachment style of infants is a laboratory based observational procedure referred to as the strange situation. Extensive training is required to administer and score this. A promising alternative requiring no training is the attachment Q set developed by Waters in 1987, which is based on parental home observations. Attachment style in adults may also be measured in a variety of ways, as developed by Crowell et al. In 1999. Of these, the adult attachment interview and its rating scale is the gold standard, which is developed by George et al. In 1984, Main and Goldwyn in 1994. As in the strange situation, extensive training is required to administer and score this. A good self report measure of adult romantic attachment, which is based on an integration of other available self report measures of adult attachment in romantic relationship, is the Experiences of Close Relationships Inventory, developed by Brennan et al. In 1998. Another model is the circumplex model of interpersonal behavior. In the circumplex model of interpersonal behavior, each person is assumed in childhood to learn a dominant interpersonal style which characterizes their way of interacting with others and which serves the function of reducing insecurity and maximizing self esteem. The model is an empirically testable refinement of Harry Stack Sullivan's interpersonal psychiatry. Within this a complex model of interpersonal behavior, dispositions to engage in particular types of interpersonal interactions with others are construed as falling within a two-dimensional space defined by a vertical axis that extends from dominance to submission and a horizontal axis that extends from cold hostility to warm friendliness. It may be seen that the interpersonal dispositions in the octants of the interpersonal space are defined by the combinations of the two dominance and nurturance axes. These eight dispositions are assumed: dominant, gregarious, extroverted; warm, agreeable; unassuming, ingenious; unassured, submissive; aloof, introverted; cold hearted; arrogant, calculating. Dimensions of the circumplex model of interpersonal behavior may be measured using a variety of instruments. These include the Interpersonal Adjective Scale by Wiggins in 1995 and the Inventory of Interpersonal Problems by Horowitz et al. In 2000. Correlational studies show that the dominance and nurturance axis of the circumplex model of interpersonal behavior correspond to the extraversion and agreeableness factors of the five-factor personality theory. Measures derived from the circumplex model of interpersonal behavior may be used to test hypotheses about development of interpersonal strengths, such as having styles in the northeast quadrant of the model and these relationships between these styles and subjective well-being. family systems model, which is the third type of model, individual differences in the functioning of whole families are conceptualized as varying along a number of dimensions. Models which have led to the development of widely used and psychometrically sound assessment instruments include the McMaster model of family functioning, the Beavers family system model and Hampson, the circumplex model of marital and family systems, and the process model of family functioning. The McMaster model of family functioning describes the families along 6 interrelated dimensions: problem solving, communication, roles, effective responsiveness, effective expression, and behavior control. Functional families display adaptive levels of all these processes, whereas families who have difficulties in managing tasks and lifestyle transitions show less adaptive levels of these processes. The status of families on these dimensions may be evaluated with the self report McMaster family assessment device, or with the McMaster structured interview of family functioning and the McMaster clinical rating scale. The Beavers family systems model contains two dimensions: family competence and family style. Family competence, conceptualized as a horizontal axis, ranges from the optimal functioning to severely dysfunctional. Family competence progresses from chaotic functioning through extreme rigidity and marked dominant submission patterns to equality and flexibility in family relationships. Family style, conceptualized as a vertical axis, ranges from highly centripetal to highly centrifugal. An extremely centripetal style compromises children's opportunities to develop autonomy from the nuclear family. A highly centrifugal family style expels children from the security of the family prematurely. Extreme styles are hypothesized to occur in more dysfunctional families, and a more blended and flexible style is expected to occur in healthier families. In this sense, the family style dimension is curvilinear. The two main dimensions of the model may be evaluated with the Beaver's interactional competence scale and the Beaver's interactional style scale. The self report family inventory may be used to evaluate the competence dimension of the model. The circumplex model of family functioning describes families along 3 dimensions, which is cohesion, adaptability, and communication. The cohesion dimension ranges from enmeshed to disengaged. The adaptability dimension ranges from rigid to chaotic. Extreme scores on each dimension are associated with family difficulties. Moderate levels of cohesion and adaptability are hypothesized to typify well functioning families. Thus, both cohesion and adaptability are conceptualized as bearing a curvilinear relationship to the health and well being of family members. The third dimension, communication, ranges from problematic to highly functional, and a family status on this dimension is hypothesized to determine the ease with which changes on the other 2 dimensions may occur. All 3 dimensions of the model may be evaluated by observation with the clinical rating scale for the circumplex model. The self-report family adaptability and cohesion evaluation scales may be used to assess adaptability and cohesion. The family process model is a conceptual framework for conducting family assessments according to 7 key dimensions, which are task accomplishment, role performance, communication, affective expression, involvement control, values, and norms. The set of self report instruments derived from the model, the family assessment measures, provide scores on these dimensions are 3 levels for the family system: various dyadic family relationship and individual functioning. A focus on strengths and competence is central to all models. The dimensions of family functioning in each of the models are conceptualized in terms of family resources and competencies rather than deficits and problems. Marital systems model are premised on the idea that for couples to function cooperatively and experience marital satisfaction, they must show optimal functioning on dimensions such as effective communication, problem solving, communication, and role compatibility. The marital satisfaction inventory revised is a self report measure which assesses marital system functioning and marital satisfaction. It yields scores for each member of a couple on the following scales, which are effective communication, role orientation, problem solving communication, aggression, family history of distress, time together, dissatisfaction with children, disagreement about finances, conflict over child rearing, sexual dissatisfaction, and global distress. A summary of self help strategies for promoting strength and well being based on research on the family life cycle can be incorporated into clinical practice. There is potential for debate about the appropriateness of including the study of relationship under the umbrella of positive psychology. On the one hand, it may be argued that the study of relationships belongs within the field of development or lifespan psychology. On the other, it is universally accepted that significant social relationships are central to well being and happiness. Furthermore, studies of marriage and parenting only occasionally address issues such as health and physiological functioning. On the other hand, studies of health and social support rarely address optimal relational function within the family context. Professor Carol Reif has argued that a worthy goal for the new millennium is promoting interaction between these two traditions by evolving a joint focus on the positive health implications of interpersonal flourishing. Studies in this area should focus on the physiological correlates of optimal family relationships. Thank you.